Hi, I'm Brad Frey, Music Supervisor here at AIVA Technologies, here with a little update on some of the new features that we've added to our online platform. I've got a lot of stuff to show you today, so without further ado, let's head on over to the platform and I'll show you what's new. Okay, I'm here on the platform and let's start out with the presets. So we're always trying to constantly improve on the quality of the presets, always trying to create more diversity, more instruments and accompaniments. And a preset that we've been focusing on a lot lately is the Modern Cinematic preset, with the most notable addition being this Mallet and Orchestra Ensemble. So this was in response to some people suggesting that there was maybe a lot of just string ostinatos and not much else. And so this is a way to kind of get around that, and I'll show you some examples of it. I think you'll kind of know where this is headed. And while we're here, you might notice this number of pieces over here. So you can now bulk generate up to 5 pieces at one time. So rather than making your selection here, generating one piece, and then coming back and doing the same thing multiple times, if you wanted to create multiple pieces with the same parameters, you can now simply select what parameters you want, and then say, I want to generate 5 or so pieces with those exact parameters. So I'm just going to select 3. Now, while those pieces are generating, I'll just show you some previous examples of this Mallet and Orchestra Ensemble that I found earlier while generating some pieces. So just to give you an idea of what this sounds like. Okay, and next one. And one more. So you can see there's a lot of emphasis on the more percussive instruments, your keyboard, your celeste, your mallet instruments like your marimba, vibraphone, glockenspiel, etc., all to kind of give that more percussive feeling. You are still going to have some of those string ostinatos, but they're generally also going to be accompanied by instruments like flutes, other woodwinds to kind of give it a different texture. So there you go. There's a little peek into the new ensemble. You should definitely go check it out. It's probably my new favorite ensemble. I'm really liking the way that sounds. Now, the first thing I want to talk about in the piano roll is section regeneration, which I've talked about in previous videos. This is a feature we've been working on for a while. So you'll notice these section markers at the top here that tell you, this is the intro section, this is the A section. And if you click that label, you'll see we have 3 options here. One of them being replace section, which will just replace this section A with a brand new section. If you click regenerate section and its dependencies, it means every variation of A that exists within this piece will also regenerate. So if we go over here, you'll see there's another instance of section A at the end. So if we click regenerate section and dependencies on either instance of this A section, it will regenerate both instances of that A section. Now I'm just going to select replace this one section, and if I click that, you'll notice it automatically saves and then takes us back to the My Tracks screen to re-render that track. So you'll have to wait for that to happen in order to see the new section. Just another important thing to note is that any manual changes made to the instrumentation of the piece will be discarded when regenerating a section. So I would recommend first tackling, whether or not you actually like the section and want to regenerate it or not. and then making changes to the instrumentation after you've sort of figured all of that out. Now, this brings me to my next point, which is the instrumentation editing feature. So if you hover the mouse over any of these MIDI notes, you'll notice this black outline now appears on all similar MIDI notes within one element of one section. So for example, if I highlight or if I put my mouse over this, we see an outline appearing on all of those blue notes, which are the bass notes of just the intro section, okay? And so if you click that, you'll see we can actually see the current instrumentation that's been assigned to that element of that section. So for now, it's just a soft piano. And so you can also see, what articulation or playing style is there, and also if there are any octave transpositions involved. Now, not only can we see what instruments have already been assigned, but we can also add or remove those instruments. So, if you don't want this piano to be here at all, you can remove it. Or if you go to add instrument, you can see we've got these categories here. And so we can go, okay, I want to add the cello to that line. You can choose exactly which patch you want, whether you want vibrato, no vibrato, sustain, spiccato, and then also if you want any octave transpositions to be applied to, where that instrument is playing the element that you've selected. So for now, just say no. Now, you can get pretty crazy with this, and I would recommend having some background knowledge of orchestration and how these instruments work. Otherwise, you may find yourself adding, a group of 3 tubas to, the melody 2 octave transpositions up, and that's probably going to sound a bit wonky, but I guess if that's what you're going for, then by all means, go right ahead. But, just throwing it out there that if you start kind of messing around with this, some of the instruments may just be repitched to, oblivion and may not quite sound as good as you may want. So just be careful with it. The main use case here is, we're noticing some users like the pieces that they were generating overall, but wanted to maybe change some of the instrumentation choices, and thus were having to download the orchestrated MIDI files, import it into their DAW template, and kind of set everything up that way just to change some of the instrumentation. And so with this feature, all of that can be done very quickly and very easily within our platform. So if you make any changes to the instrumentation, you will notice this red dot appears next to the piano roll, signaling that you have made changes to this piece. If you leave this piece and go back to the My Tracks, for example, and open up another piece, those changes that you've made to this piece will be discarded. If you want to save those changes, make sure you go up here to Save and Render Audio and click that. So if we do that, you'll notice here that the piece has been saved, and it's going to now re-render the audio with those changes that you've made to the instrumentation. This is just kind of necessary because our sampler needs to, go access our hundreds of gigabytes of samples and reassemble the piece and do all of this sort of MIDI orchestration that needs to be done. Another thing which you might have noticed in these example pieces is that there are now different dynamics incorporated into the piece, and some gradual changes throughout the piece, like crescendos and decrescendos at the start and end of phrases and themes, all of which should help to improve the sound of the performance and the overall quality of the MIDI. It also gives you a baseline to work with if you download the MIDI file and open it up into a DAW, which I can show you right now if we want to download this and open it up in Logic. So the great thing about this is that you don't need to do all of the velocity changes or draw on all of these CC modulation curves from scratch. You can see we've already got sort of a baseline. If I show you this visualization, you can see we've already got some curves to begin with, and so those can just be tweaked perhaps a little more subtly and may require less work than if you had to do it entirely from scratch. Looks like there's nothing with CC modulation. Okay, here we go. If I go here, so we can see we've got some CC curves there to start with. For the record, we are also working on a dynamics editor for the online platform, which, similar to the instrumentation editing feature, will make all of these small changes that you may want to make much easier and take less time. Real quick, the platform has also been optimized a bit for mobile, so you can now log into your account on a phone and access your track list and play your generated tracks on the go, as well as generating new tracks using the presets. However, you will not be able to see the piano roll unless you're on a bigger device like an iPad, for example. Coming up next on the next episode of AIVA's new features, pacing control, which will allow you to select a pacing like slow, medium, or fast on the customized parameters control, which will prompt AIVA to automatically select an appropriate tempo and accompaniment to match that pacing request. Also, up to 3 minutes duration for generated pieces. So up until now, you could only generate, about 2 minutes or a little over 2 minutes, but we'll be adding the option for 3 minutes very soon. New guitar sounds for rock and pop, drums and percussion, and also expanded time signature control options. For now, focusing on the modern cinematic. If you go here, not a lot of options for time signatures. So something we're going to work on expanding, adding 3/4, for example, just attempting to introduce a little diversity and control here. That's it for now. Hope you have fun with these new features and hope they help you, in some way. Let us know what you think in the comments or by reaching out to us at feedback@AIVA.ai. If you have any feedback, feature requests, or suggestions. And until next time, thanks for watching.